Hello guys, welcome to the video. Today we've got a little bit of some different but interesting news. So, 5 companies including Valve would just find a large amount of money, which equates to roughly $15 million in total due to breaching anti-competitive corporate laws that were established in the European Union. So in this video, we're going to go through it, discuss the elements of this, what's happened, how this has affected Capcom, how much money they themselves have paid, and more things. So let's just get right into it. The European Commission has fined Valve and 5 other publishers including Bandai Namco, Capcom, Focus Home, Koch Media, and Zenimax for a total of 7.8 million euros. Valve and the publishers restricted cross-border sales of certain PC video games on the basis of the geographical location of users within the European Economic Area, entering into the so-called geo-blocking practices. The fines for the publishers, totaling over 6 million, were reduced due to the company's cooperation with the Commission. Valve, however, chose not to cooperate with the Commission and was fined over 1.6 million euros. Now, just for the record here, it does seem Capcom and the other publishers were all in on this together, and this was very intentional and not an accident. Even though they worked with the Commission, we get this next section, which is the video game publishers granted Valve a non-exclusive license to exploit specified PC video games on a worldwide basis, including the entirety of the EEA. In turn, the publishers obtained from Valve a license for the use of Steam activation keys for distribution of those PC video games outside of Steam. The publishers personally requested Valve to set up geographical restrictions and to provide geo-blocked Steam activation keys. The publishers provided those keys to their distributors for sale and distribution of the PC video games in the member states concerned. As a result, users located outside a designated member state were prevented from activating a given PC video game with Steam activation keys. Now, I'm actually in a long-distance relationship, and my partner is in the EEA, and I've always wanted to buy games for her and vice versa, but this has always become an issue due to geo-restricted blocking. But now it looks like at least something's happening, and maybe we can start gifting stuff to each other, and that would be a nice thing, because it kind of sucks when you go out and you buy a £50 key only to be told, hey, sorry, it doesn't work. And by the way, there's no refunds, because that's how it works. So yeah, this is a good thing. And it does show again there was intention when it does say the publishers requested Valve themselves to set up a geographical restriction. Now, this next section I'm going to show, but I'm not going to go through it. I'm just going to TLDR it. It's just explaining the laws that were broken and such. The reason I'm putting it up here is if you do want to pause the video and look at this, there you go. But yeah, it's just explaining the laws that were broken, so let's skip to the next screenshot anyway. Now this one is interesting because we get a breakdown of how much each company was fined, and we can kind of see who was the bigger offenders here, of course, with Focus Home and Zenimax kind of taking the piss a little bit more than Capcom and say Bandai Namco. But also there was different reductions for cooperation, and it is interesting here because Capcom specifically got a 15% amount in reduction for cooperation. And yeah, that's interesting because it just shows they obviously did something to provide to this investigation more so than what these other companies did. But hilariously, Valve refused, as it was stated, to cooperate and therefore was fined an additional amount of money because of that. So they basically had an increase for not cooperation. But how much is 396,000 euros anyway? Because I know a lot of my viewers out there are obviously from America, or they'll know the dollar at least better than the euro, to be honest. Using my amazing skills on Google, at the current transfer rate, it's roughly around $480,000. So we'll just call that $500,000, which is still a huge hit, to be honest. And it does show you that the European Union is not messing around, and you really should take their laws quite seriously. I was actually surprised to see that this investigation happened in 2017 and then culminated obviously in 2021 as of recently. So it just shows you there's probably a lot more investigations going on and other things. And if you are a video game developer, make sure to follow the laws of these countries, and especially the European Union, because they are pretty aggressive with their anti-competitive laws. And that's a good thing, of course, because it stops all this random bullshit. Now, you would expect possibly you would now be able to cross-activate keys in different regions, etc. But because Valve is being very stubborn, remember they're refusing to work here, it does seem like they're just going to keep getting hit by fines, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen long term. But for now, it does seem like the cross-region activation capability and the geo-blocking over it, should I say specifically, is going to stay in place. So you're not going to be able to share those juicy keys, at least until Valve changes their mind. And that is a bit disappointing. But as Capcom right now, I just kind of be absolutely in tragedy. The last year has not been good for Capcom. I mean, Resident Evil 3, it didn't sell half as well as it really should have, to be honest, and it's pretty much what one would consider a failure. It didn't make enough money, and it's definitely not a good enough product. So then, what about Resistance? Well, that was also a failure. It just completely died very quickly. Then all of Resident Evil 8 was leaked, among hundreds of thousands of personal documents and other things. And now you just get a $500,000 fine. I mean, this is just like, when is this gonna end? And the pandemic, of course, also is another thing, as that has affected every single business out there. So it's just like every single month now Capcom has to deal with some new bullshit. I hope Resident Evil 8 turns out well anyway. Maybe that will be the one little thing at the end of this tunnel that makes things good for us. Anyway, I'll be making more content, and I hope you did enjoy this video. It was a little bit different. You can follow me on Discord, Twitter, or come donate to my Patreon if you're crazy. And if you're a Resident Evil fan, we will obviously be covering much more content, considering there was a whole 28 minutes of that stuff revealed very recently, with a cinematic as well as a gameplay trailer that's absolutely added quite a few new details. So if you are looking forward to those, as I said, hit all those buttons. I just hope you're having a beautiful day. For now, take it easy and peace.